Okay, this is going to be a pretty amazing video, and that's because we managed to get our hands on the first actual image of the PS5. This is a never before seen image, or at least no one has posted about it, and here's everything you need to know about this one alongside some more details about a PS5. Do make sure to watch this video first, because this is the one where I talk about the leaked Sony PS5 patent and loads of more other details, all of which I'll be referencing in this video. So yeah, consider this part 2 to the previous video. So yeah, grab some popcorn and some drinks because you'll definitely need those, and enjoy. You want to keep your connection private and secure, and also be able to access any region-restricted websites such as Netflix US, for example, outside US, for those exclusive movies and TV shows that you cannot otherwise access. Well, if the answer is yes, then check out PIA, or Private Internet Access VPN, using the link below. It works on iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, Linux, and even extensions for Chrome, Firefox, or Opera. Get it for as low as $3.33 a month by using the link in the description. Okay, so a few days ago, someone who I'm not going to name has sent me an email that contained something very unique. And this is what he sent me. Welcome to the first actual look at the PlayStation 5. And right off the bat, you can probably tell that this design looks pretty much identical to the leaked PS5 patent that I've talked about in the previous video. We have the same V-shaped vent in the middle, we have the exact same air exhaust on the sides, and probably on the back as well. It's just that, we cannot really tell because we cannot see the back from this photo. And then we have all the buttons and the ports that we've had in the actual patent as well. So on the left, we have the optical drive unit, which by the way will support double-layer Blu-ray drives up to 100 gigabytes in size, and more about that towards the end of the video. Then we have 5 individual buttons, one for on and standby, one for reset, one for eject, one for system initialization, one for network initialization. On the right hand side, we have that weird connector that looks to me to be USB Type-B. Then we have 5 more USB Type-A ports, out of which the first one seems to be USB 2.0, judging by that black inside. Then the next 3 seems to be USB 3.0 or higher, judging by the blue inside. And then we have one more that seems to have an actual cable plugged into it. So that's probably USB 3.0 or higher as well. And then we also have that weird circle, which I believe to be a camera looking at a patent, especially since we actually had reports that Sony and Microsoft as well could be actually including 4K cameras into the console itself for live streaming. So that would be really cool. But looking at this leaked image, I cannot really see any camera lens or anything inside of that circle. So that round thing is probably just the power button. But as you can probably tell, all of the ports, everything matches perfectly with the actual PS5 patent. So yeah, same layout, same number of ports, same dimensions, so this is indeed the real deal. Now, there are a few more things, a few more details in this image that weren't really visible in the patent. For example, we have a few more light indicators, from 7 to 0 on the left-hand side, which probably shows the number of controllers connected, or even more likely, the number of CPU cores being used, or something along those lines. We also have 2 more status lights, status 2 and status 1, and 1 appears to actually be lit up. And then we have a hidden serial number and some sort of QR code, I think, on the right, and the label saying that this is a prototype on the left. So prototype 1 in this case, and that is not for sale. So yes, it seems like this is indeed a developer's unit of the PlayStation 5 and not the final retail version. Now, in the previous video, I did say that I found it odd that Sony was patenting the developer's units, and actually believed this to be the final version of the PS5. Now, the thing is, yes, the final PS5 would not look identical to this developer's kit that we have here, but there's a very strong chance that the final PS5 will indeed look very, very similar to the developer's unit. I mean, the cooling system on the dev kit looks so extremely well designed. It looks like there has been a lot of thought put into this. Take a look at how it sucks the air from the middle with that massive V-shaped intake, which, by the way, fun fact, V is also the Roman numeral for 5. Hashtag PS5. Then the air is blown out through the sides and the back, which again, we can't really see in this image, but that was perfectly visible in the patent itself. So yeah, the cooling system is very well done. Another reason why I think that Sony would definitely not downgrade the cooling system in any way on the final unit. Otherwise, this is going to be a huge mess. Like, this is going to be a huge performance issue, since developers, when they work on a game, on the dev kit, they would optimize it for that. And then if the final unit ends up running worse because of the system throttling due to, thermal issues and constraints, well, that won't be good for anyone. So yeah, the cooling system will not be downgraded. Chances are that it might even be improved. Now, in the last video, we actually did improve it somehow. So we actually made our very own concept based on the leaked patent that we've had before, and we've even made, like I said, some changes and improvements of our own. Like, for example, we added a water cooling system that goes all around the console, cooling both the processor and the graphics card, both of which will be NAPU on the same chipset essentially, and they would be located right in the middle of the unit. And the fans will still be present, so they won't be going anywhere, which will help further cool down the system. Now, even though we have made our concept more visually appealing than in the actual Sony patent, by aligning the ports, cleaning up some details, and adding LEDs and, water cooling, a lot of you actually said in the comments that it was still quite ugly. Which is true. Let's be honest, this is not the prettiest console. But personally, I don't really care. Like, as long as it's properly cooled, and as long as it runs at 4K 60 like Sony officially confirmed, on the highest possible settings with no frame drops, well, in that case I'm totally fine with a worse looking console. Now, something that I did mention in the previous video was that on the top of the console, on the top of the patent, we actually had something that kinda looked like rubber feet. And interesting enough, if we go back to the PS5 and bump up the shadows, you can now easily see that those rubber feet from the patent are actually here on the dev kit as well. And this makes me think that you can also flip the PlayStation 5 and have the air intake on the bottom rather than on the top, and in that case, well, it would actually look better. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. Now, going back to the image, I actually tried looking for some more details that I could find, and unfortunately I couldn't really find much. So the EXE files were removed, so I couldn't really see details such as what camera it was taken with, when it was taken, and where. However, I could at least see the file name. And this was 2019-10-10-034944. So judging by the file name at least, this was taken just a few days ago, probably when no one else was in the building because of that time. So 3:49 a.m. in the morning and 44 seconds on October the 10th. So that's a pretty recent photo. So in conclusion, regarding this PS5 design, the bad news is that we still don't have a look at the final design. However, the good news is that the PS5 will actually have a brand new cooling system, which, like I said, will very likely be extremely similar to what we've seen in the patent and in this image. And, at the same time, it will also look prettier than in this image and the patent. Like, for example, the PS4 Pro dev kit was just gigantic, and the same thing goes for the PS4 dev kit, and the final units ended up being much smaller and thinner, and they also look much better. Oh, and apparently the clock speeds were also improved and increased on the final unit. So there we go, the final units ended up looking better and performing better than the dev kits. Now, aside from this, we've also had some even more details regarding the PS5 last week, some huge details officially coming directly from Sony. How on earth did this even happen? Well, apparently The Wired actually posted a massive article with a ton of exclusive details on the PS5 coming directly from Mark Cerny. Now, in case you don't know who Mark Cerny is, he was the lead architect on the PS4, and he's also the lead architect on the PS5. And here's what he said. So, first of all, PlayStation 5 is the official name. Which, I mean, everyone kind of knew already that this was going to be the case, but Sony has only referred to the PS5 as next-gen console whenever they talked about it. But now the official name is confirmed, and surprise, surprise, it's the PS5. Next up, the release date is also official. Can you guess? Leave a comment down below. You're probably right, maybe. So Mark Cerny confirmed that the PS5 is coming in holiday 2020, which was also what I believe to be the case as well. So a November or December release, that's very likely going to be the case here. Now, I would even say that November is looking more likely than December, since that way retailers would have enough time to stock the PS5 in stores for Christmas, a month later. Next up, it is also confirmed now that the PS5 will have an AMD Ryzen CPU and an AMD Navi architecture GPU. If you want to see the full list of specs, we've actually done a separate video just on that performance and specs. Now, speaking of specs, there's a few more details that have been confirmed. Mark Cerny mentioned once again that there will be no more spinning hard drive inside a PS5. Instead, we would have insanely fast flash storage inside the unit, with read and write speeds as close to 2 GB per second. Now, you see that the problem that I have with this is that this storage would be very, very expensive. So I think Sony will very likely limit this to 1 TB of storage, hopefully, and also hopefully offering more options for those, of us that need more storage. But I'm quite curious to see how they deal with external storage. Like, obviously, if games are optimized for, insanely fast loading speeds and loading assets from that insanely fast internal storage, and then some users, like probably myself, add an external hard drive that's really, really slow through USB, then that would be a huge downgrade on the game's actual performance. So I do believe that Sony might actually limit external devices to just external SSDs and not hard drives, or they could release some sort of first-party M.2 enclosure in which, you just put an M.2 drive, and And with those USB 3.0 or even 3.2 ports, it should be able to reach speeds of even 1 gigabyte per second, which is pretty impressive. So I think that's what Sony should do. Hopefully this is also what they will do. Okay, what else? Well, aside from this, Sony has also confirmed that a PS5 will actually have hardware accelerated ray tracing support, which is pretty awesome. So we did already know that a PS5 will indeed have ray tracing support, but we weren't sure if this would be software or hardware based. And luckily, it is actually hardware based. So just like on the NVIDIA RTX series of graphics cards, we would have the same effect, which would be really, really impressive, especially on a console. Like this would significantly improve the graphics and the realism in games. We've already seen the same thing happen with Minecraft, where enabling RTX would literally turn it into a different game, something that looks almost as realistic as real life, whereas Minecraft, you know, originally, the vanilla Minecraft was quite a different story. Now, on top of this, Mark Cerny also said that the game size will be noticeably reduced. So at the moment, since the hard drive is just so slow, the data actually has to be copied in some cases on the disk itself multiple times, just to make it more easily accessible. Now, this will no longer be required with that flash storage. And Mark Cerny has also confirmed that the PS5 will be using 100 gigabyte Blu-ray discs. So essentially dual layer Blu-ray drives, and the PS5 will also support 4K Blu-ray discs for watching movies, which the PS4 Pro ironically lacked. So yeah, fun fact, Sony actually invented Blu-ray, the Blu-ray technology, so the disc and the player, and they also hold all the rights to those. Yet they didn't include Blu-ray technology for playing back 4K movies on the PS4 Pro, ironically. And then Mark Cerny also said that the game installation would be different on the PS5. So apparently you would not be able to select which parts of the game to install or even uninstall. Like for example, you would now be able to uninstall the campaign if you finished it and you need some extra space, or the multiplayer if that's something that you're not interested in. However, in order for this to work, games will actually have to be updated and designed like that by developers. Then the UI will also be redesigned apparently, and that was quite expected. The PS4 got a redesign from the PS3, quite a big one, and the PS5 will also be getting one from the PS4. The PS4 menu was awesome, by the way. I absolutely loved it. It was very easy to navigate and very intuitive, and now this is getting an improvement. So apparently with the PS5, you will be able to see the game missions and even the achievements and even the lobby if you're playing multiple games without even starting the game at all. So all of this will now be visible on the home screen. And yes, there's even some more updates, way more updates that Mark Cerny has shared, including a completely redesigned controller with some very special features, which does deserve its own separate videos. So definitely subscribe, notifications, hit that bell icon so that you get notified when that video goes live, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to cover in that one as well. So yeah, also follow on Instagram at ZONEofTECH for more tech content, and at ZONEofConcepts for more tech concepts. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel. Don't forget to check out our website, ZONEofTECH.com/articles, for written articles of, our videos and actually more. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.